Congratulations, you're thinking about getting a new car. But then you kind of notice that new cars are just computers on wheels, tablets everywhere, sensors galore, and now also on top of which subscriptions for basic things. We're talking about mobile access or getting features such as heated seats or even a few extra horsepower. Volkswagen, I'm looking at you. So aside from that, you got sick of it and greed and price gouging for something that you already own. So you think about getting a Japanese domestic market car. Now, JDM cars, they do have a reputation for being way more reliable, but what are some of the constraints that you need to understand to get a car from a foreign country here? If you are getting a car from Japan, you want to make sure it's going to be 25 years or older. Now, why 25 years or older? If a car is 25 years or older, it's going to be an antique car, and it's not going to have to comply with DOT or any kind of EPA standards. So that's going to make sure that it's going to be a lot easier for you to register, but also on top of which, you're not going to be subject to the chicken tax. Chicken tax, it's kind of odd. Yeah, what do chickens have to do with cars? You can look that up. Fun little bit of American market competition and how to keep the market less competitive. But the short of it is that if the car is newer than 25 years when you register it, you're going to need to change things about it to make it compliant with DOT and EPA. And also, you're going to need to pay a tariff. Okay, so we understand that we need a car that's going to be 25 years or older as of now, 2026. That means we need the car to be no newer than 2001. For this example, we're going to say that we're looking at a Toyota Hilux. Why Hilux? Because they are freaking epic. You don't need to take my word from it. You can also look at the Top Gear episode for it. Top Gear did a crazy episode where they demolished a building with a Hilux on top of it and were able to drive the Hilux out from the rubble. Let's say Top Gear was not exactly in your generation or your time range. You can look at Whistling Diesel. He did much the same thing. He got himself a Hilux and absolutely demolished it, from regular routine stress testing to dropping bricks in it and taking it through the outback to running over the bricks. He showed it no mercy and the car would not give out. So, okay, we know that we want a Hilux. Excellent. Where do we find a Hilux? Well, if you want to find any JDM car, I really recommend two websites. Myself, I worked with cars from Japan. This is where I got my K-Truck a few years ago, and it worked great. Or who I'm trying to work with this year, because I want to import another Japanese car, is Goonet Exchange. Now, whichever site you go with, and honestly, I recommend to poke around on both, because they will have different options. You want to take and select your make and model. Goonet, they're going to be a little bit stiffer from the get-go, by which I mean when you are at the screen, you can only really select one make, one model. And you can also select what currency you want it in. We're going to go with USD. And also we're going to just mark it down right to 2001. So we're already fitting within the 25-year exemption. Excellent. And right away it gives us something fun right off the bat. And right away we see some of the first options. Recommended car, that's always cute and never really had much influence on me. So how to read this? You're going to have a few things just in a quick summation here. You're going to have the year 2001 of December. So this was right at the end of 2001. So if you wanted the newest option car, this would be a good one to go with. Color, engine displacement, so that's a 2-liter engine, and how many kilometers. So remember, kilometers are always more than miles. So how many kilometers the vehicle has, and also which side is it, right-hand drive? Because as you know, the Japanese, they drive on the right side of the vehicle. So we sit on the left-hand drive. They sit on the right-hand drive, and AT, automatic transmission. If we look at the left side also, we can take and refine this a little more. If you don't want the car to have more than set amount of miles, let's say more than 60,000, we could always put that in. If you want the engine to be of a certain displacement, for me, this was important because when I was searching at one point and I got done having a small itty bitty K-Truck with 34 horsepower, I wanted to make sure I was seeing the options that were going to be at least over a liter so I could calibrate that here. Personally, me also, Mr. Drive Stick Shift, everything has to be manual. So this is a place where you can refine all that. You can go in bigger detail, whether you want it to be 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel, gasoline, diesel, if you're okay with it being repaired, or you want to just right out of the gate set that as a no. And then you can get into far more things, whether it's turbocharged, supercharged, and that'll help you refine. So we went a little bit too critical on the filters, but this is just as an example so you can understand what to look for. Now let's see what this process looks like with cars from Japan. Cars from Japan, right out of the gate, they actually have a little bit more to offer you. So they already have some promotions, how to import a used car, even some informational stuff, easier to pick by brand, price range, color. So this is the welcoming screen. and it has a litter of information, far more than I remember when I was getting my little Subaru Sambar. They have a lot of cute K-trucks these days. So you could actually just click on any one of these cars if you want to go with it, boom, and it pops you up to the listing. Or if you don't want to go that way, you're still at the main screen, and we're still sticking with our mission to find a Toyota Hilux. We can go Toyota Hilux, boom, type that in. You can even signify price range, year. We're going to just set it to search. And there we get a few options. I don't know if you remember, but there's actually this guy over on Goonet, if I'm not mistaken, right there. And you can match it up easy by which city it's in and other details such as mileage or other specifications on it. Yep, 65,000 kilometers is approximately 40,000 miles. You could filter by different makes. You can filter by different models of that make, get into the year, get into the mileage, engine displacement, body type. And honestly, you could even just be searching by body type. So for example, right now, me, myself, I'm looking for an SUV because I recently had an addition to the family. So I want something a little bit larger. I can type that in. I can get rid of Toyota. I can get rid of Hilux, for example. Let's say I just want to go broad. So I can type in SUV. Furthermore, I can type in that I want it to be manual. I want it to be 4-wheel drive and filter. Now, this is going to be a lot wider search. So here we're getting some small cars. And this is what I was speaking about previously when I spoke about we want engine displacement sometimes to be a certain size. So let's say also that we want it to be a little larger, at least a liter filter. Boom, and here could already start filtering through. And this could be some things that I would want to consider for myself if I'm not looking for the Hilux. And man, I love how some of these cars look. Look at this guy. Oh, and also, did you know that Jeep gave a contract over to Mitsubishi to produce its Jeeps over in Japan? So you could actually get a right-hand drive Jeep if you're a real Jeep fanatic. So one thing I will say, cars from Japan, they do give you a lot more filtering options. Though cars from Japan, you're going to be getting cars from the auction. So that's not bad, but you just need to read into a little bit about how to understand auction grades. And a good place to do this would be some kind of AI. For an easy example, we'll just use ChatGPT, and we could easily ask it, and we can just ask it the question straight out like that. How do I read Japanese auction sheets? And it's going to give you a nice little breakdown. It'll explain to you what the numbers mean and how to be reading it, how to be interpreting it. Understandably, if we're going to be looking at importing a car, there's going to be things that we don't know. Standards of that country, cultural, financial, business standards. And I find this is a good time to be utilizing the AIs. This is not something creative where AI, in my opinion, struggles a bit more, or you need to do a lot more research. For something like dry research, it is great. You can even be getting an auction sheet and uploading it right into the AI. And afterwards, it can translate it for you because I'll be honest, I don't read Japanese. If you do, that is great. So let's get back to our Hilux mission. Here, once you pull up all your Hiluxes or whatever model you're looking for, some of the other filters I really do like about cars from Japan, once you go over here into the more filters option, you have things such as flash sale or R picks. I don't really know what to do with their picks. Drift cars, so it could get very specific. And when I was getting my K-truck, it was the first time I was buying from Japan. I was a little nervous. I was really leaning on this option, has video. Now, if you do have this selected, a fun thing is that when you see all the listings, they're also going to have a video in the listing of them turning the car on, them driving the car in first and second and reverse, I believe. So if you're mechanically inclined or you want to show to a friend who is mechanically inclined, they can tell you if they're hearing any engine knock. They can tell you if they hear that the starter is clunking and rattling a little bit, or if they hear any kind of suspension issues. So that's a nice option also to get a little bit more peace of mind. Now, if you see a car that you like, you just click, check it out. Usually they have great pictures. Cars from Japan is going to be getting cars from the auction. So Japanese, they tend to take very good care of their car and update their fleet quite regularly. So a lot of cars get sold out to auction and they look like they're in ridiculously good condition, because if you look at an American auction, Copar, Mannheim, AII, you'll be seeing just some demolished cars that have been through hell in a handbasket. Now, if we're looking at Goonet, Goonet is actually going to be a dealer. So the only part I could never understand about this myself was that I do see some cars on Goonet, as I do see also on cars from Japan. But when I was looking for my personal vehicle, the family SUV, I found that Goonet actually had more options for me. And that served me better. Afterwards, if we look into the car, we want to list through all the pictures, see how everything looks, see how many kilometers it has. You can see a nice summation of it here. I always love me a picture of an engine bay. Beautiful engine bay picture. I see a little bit of dirt. I don't see any leaks. I don't see anything egregious. And it looks like it's been well maintained for a car from 1998. Once we've had our fill of pictures, we want to take and bring our attention down to the car specifics. The car specifics are going to be varying. Sometimes they have more details, sometimes they have less. It will reiterate some of the things that we already know, such as the transmission style, the engine, how many kilometers it has with a mile translation right there, whether it's two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, steering. Sometimes it also has auction grade if it's an auction car that's being sold. If it doesn't, that's not a deal breaker. When we inquire, we can find out where it's coming from, whether it's an auction car or if it's from a warehouse or somewhere else, or if it's a dealer that traded it in. Then they also give you a few other accessories. Here with the older cars, I don't really expect much here. Great to see it has airbags, leather seats, alloy wheels, and they do give you a little bit of an overlook of what you're going to be dealing with when it comes to payment. Cars from Japan does illustrate this a lot better. I don't know if they've been in the game longer or they're just a little bit more in tune with what the international consumer wants, but they do break down and tell you some of the things that you need to have peace of mind. They even have a video on how to buy. I watched this a few times first time around. Let you know there's protected, what kind of payment methods that they accept. I highly recommend not falling in love right out of the gate, because you keep poking around, you'll see some very fun things. For example, let's say that we like this guy, this 1992 Toyota Hilux pickup with 8K kilometers. That's a little bit under 5,000 miles. This thing is pretty much showroom kept. If you go into it, again, we're going to follow the same logic here. We want to list through, we want to see all the pictures, understand how she looks, has an extended cab. Honestly, if I had this kind of money, I would get this car. She is stunning. And I love that little rear view mirror. Two sticks, one's going to be for your transmission, the other one's going to be for your transfer case. Interior looks immaculate. We also get pictures of on the underside. Now, considering that the car has very minimal miles, we want to make sure that everything else is matching. The pedals aren't worn down on it. The seat isn't worn down. The steering wheel is looking good on it. Things like that need to make sense and match up with the mileage. Furthermore, we want to see the engine bay. Engine bay is detailed. I'm not a big fan of this, but considering how low the miles are, I would be suspecting that this was kept professionally, either by a collector or a showroom. Now we can kind of dig into it. Interesting. It's an auction grade, though I kind of find it hard to believe that this is going to be at an auction, but auction grade 4 is good. That means that it has minor cosmetic damage, and auction grade 4 is pretty good. Now, if we don't remember what that meant, we can go right back to our bot, and our bot will have it for us. So we see all the different grades and a nice little rule of thumb. Oh, it knows how I like it. Normal daily driver. She looks immaculate to me, but I think that may just be cultural differences. Now, if everything is looking good, you can also verify which port it's going to be. Honestly, never found that the price varied much. So whether it's Baltimore, which is more south of New York where I'm at, or if we go for the Newark port, if I change it, do an update, the price is still the same. Now, the vehicle itself is $27,300, but with shipping is going to be $31,000. So this is a nice thing. They do help with shipping. Once you buy the car, the shipping you're getting putting on the boat is something that the seller is going to take care of. Same thing with Goonet. If you like it, you can hit inquire now. Here you just want to fill out your information, write them a little message, a phone number, and then after you submit, you're going to get a nice little window. And once you do submit, you get a nice little checkout like this. So I was going to thank you for your inquiry, and probably at the same time, you're also going to get a email confirming that you sent this out. The email is going to look a little bit like this. There's going to be a very typical them touching base with you. Afterwards, you're going to have someone reach out to you who's actually going to be coordinating this vehicle's sale. This is where we can start digging into some of the questions. So we don't want to just go right away, buy it out the gate. I mean, we could if you fall in love with it. I don't want to stop the romance. But me personally, I would recommend doing a little bit deeper digging and seeing if maybe we could get the price knocked down a bit. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this. This is going to be the end of part 1. Part 2, we're going to talk about what we want to be asking Part 2, we're going to be asking about what are some things we should be looking out for if you're getting a car that's from a separate country. Part 2, we're going to talk more about what are some things that we should be concerned with when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to what we could get the seller to verify for us, and also when it comes to shipping, how we're going to be paying for it. What we need to understand once we're getting it close to port here to deal with customs and pickup. So we're going to be going deep on this. Hopefully you found this helpful. This is going to be enough for you to start searching and figuring out what car may be the right one for you. And again, if we don't know what other vehicles are available, I find this is a good place to ask your AI assistant to help you. And you can phrase it however you want. Just to be clear, I do not get compensated by any AI platform or cards from Japan or GoodNet Exchange. These are just parts of how I do my searching, my due diligence to make sure that I'm moving ahead with confidence. So hope you guys found this helpful and looking forward to seeing you for part 2.